26 years of CNBC TV 18.
The S&P 500 and the Dow Jones close at record highs as Oracle sparks a rush out of AI trade into the broader markets. Markets in Asia reflect the sentiment, open higher. The GIFT Nifty is also indicating a gap up start for our own markets. Crude prices hover near 7-week lows as the market focuses on expectations of a growing global glut driven by rising output from the OPEC and allies. Gold prices climb to their highest level in a month after the US Fed cuts interest rates. Prime Minister Narendra Modi speaks to US President Donald Trump, exchanges views on expanding cooperation in trade, critical technologies, energy, defense and security, agree to work closely to address shared challenges and advance common interests. The call between the two leaders comes days after Russian President Putin's straight visit to India. India's Commerce Ministry says the visit of the US trade delegation served as an opportunity for both sides to have productive exchanges. Discussions included ongoing negotiations for a mutually beneficial India-US bilateral trade agreement. Commerce Minister Goyal says the current visit is not a negotiating round, adds that the US should sign the deal if it is happy with India's offer. And ICICI Prudential AMC's 10,600 crore rupee IPO opens for subscription today. The price band has been set between 2,016 to 2,165 a share. The company has already raised over 3,000 crore rupees from anchor investors. The issue is a 100% offer for sale, with promoter Prudential Corp selling nearly 10% stake. It's the final trading day of what has been an action-packed week. You're watching Power Breakfast right here on CNBC TV 18 in the Mumbai News Centre. I'm Hormuz Fatakia. Let's first start off with how the Asian markets are trading. And barring the Chinese markets, most of the other markets in the Asia Pacific are mirroring what the US did overnight. The Taiwanese index 0.8% higher, the Hang Seng 0.7% higher. The only underperformer in Asia right now is the Shanghai Composite, which is down around 0.4%. Gains also coming in from the Kospi, the Nikkei, both of them the benchmark indices of South Korea and Japan respectively, trading with gains of over 1% each as we go into the final trading day of the week. Pull up the GIFT Nifty and give you an idea of how our own markets are likely to start off. Still holding on to gains of 125 points is what the implied open is suggesting, and that means that if these gains sustain, we might well open above the mark of 26,000 this morning. But to set you up for today's trade, our research team is here to answer all your questions and of course to set you up for the trade, the stocks you need to watch and the FNO side of things as well. First up, Vivek is here with all the market cues that you need to watch out for. Vivek, good morning.
Well, good morning. Like you mentioned, it's been an action-packed week. It's been an extremely volatile week, and bulls will expect or hope to close this particular week on a winning note. Now, as you mentioned, when you're talking about the U.S. market, the kind of handover they're given, Dow as well as S&P 500 managed to close at record highs. On the other hand, Nasdaq actually underperformed. Gold and silver prices yesterday continued to notch fresh record highs. On the other hand, oil prices continued their fall, down over 1% yesterday. Brent now near the $61.3 a barrel mark. When you're talking about the Indian markets finally managed to snap a 3-day losing streak on the back of the fact that the FOMC rate cut spurred a bit of buying across equities worldwide. Also, when you're talking about the Nifty ended above the 25,900 level. Over 40 Nifty stocks ended in the green. All major indices closed in the green. Capital markets as well as metals were the sectors that actually led the market higher. But one particular concern that market will continue to keep an eye out for will be the weakness as far as the Indian rupee is concerned against the US dollars. Now, in terms of events to watch, remember, today the entire insurance pack will be in focus. The outcome of the insurance bill is something that we will keep an eye out on. Monthly CPI data too will be released. A large IPO, like you mentioned, ICICI Prudential AMC IPO opens today. And when you're talking about the kind of response to the existing IPOs at the end of day two, Nefrocare saw 36% subscription. Park Medi saw close to 98% subscription. And GIFT Nifty indicating a strong start for our markets today.
Thank you, Vivek, for all of those updates. So 3 IPOs will be vying for investor attention today simultaneously. Over to Ria for the stocks that should be on your radar today. Ria, morning.
Well, good morning. Let's start off with Yes Bank first. Sources have said that Yes Bank's nomination and remuneration committee has rejected the proposal to extend Rajan Pental's tenure as the executive director in charge of the retail business. Now, Rajan Pental is likely to exit Yes Bank when his current term ends in February of 2026. Moving on to Dr. Reddy's, this one will be in focus since Novo Nordisk has challenged the decision of the Delhi High Court allowing the company to manufacture and export semaglutide-based drugs to countries where Novo Nordisk currently does not hold a patent for semaglutide. Piramal Pharma to also be in focus since the US FDA has issued 4 observations at the company's US-based facility after an inspection between the 3rd to the 10th of December. Astra Micro will also be something to keep an eye out on. They have received an order worth roughly 171 crores from the Indian Meteorological Department. Sonoris Pharma will be in focus after launching Deflipron tablets to be marketed by Dr. Reddy's in the US. Moving on, keep an eye on Indigo as well. The CEO, Peter Elbers, has been asked to appear before the DGCA tomorrow, and separately a writ petition has been filed against Indigo over flight cancellations. The court has adjourned Indigo's case for further proceedings, and the potential financial implications of the litigation cannot be quantified currently, is what the company has said. Keep an eye on Honasa Consumer as well. They have entered the men's personal category with an acquisition of BTM Ventures, and the brand that they will be operating under is called Reginald Men. They will be acquiring a 95% stake via a secondary purchase at an enterprise value of roughly 195 crores, and the remaining 5% is to be acquired after 12 months based on a pre-agreed valuation criteria. Keep an eye on Vedanta as well. They have been declared as the successful bidder for Ganjana Nickel, Chromium and PGE block. And lastly, First Source Solutions will also be in focus. An arm of the company has completed 100% acquisition of UK-based past due credit solutions for $22 million.
Ria, thank you for that update. Lastly, Sudarshan joins in with cues from the FNO space. Sudarshan, good morning. GIFT Nifty indicating a gap up, but is the FNO data indicating that this would sustain?
So, good morning, Hormaz. So, data has turned positive in the last one session, and thanks to the Fed rate cut and the certain kinds of positive commentary that we have got related to trade talks development, and that has helped market move higher. So, what has done that? It has forced heavily put writing, and at the same time all the call writers had to cover their positions, and that was done very aggressively, and because of that put call ratio has improved and it has increased to 0.94 from the previous level of 0.75. I'll just give you 2 to 3 options on the call side what exactly has happened. 25,800 option. OI, that is open interest, has come down by 24 lakh. Premium has increased by 43%. 26,000. Open interest was down by 22 lakhs. Premium increased by 29%. Where did they add the position? 26,100. So now it's telling you that resistance is moved higher to 26,100. For the put options, 25,700. OI, that is open interest, has increased by 50 lakh shares. Premium was down 67%. 25,900 put option, OI was up 30 lakh shares and premium was down 53%. So now support for Nifty is around 25,700, that is 50 DMA, that is day moving average. Resistance will be 26,100 for Nifty Bank. Support would be 58,850, resistance 59,400. GIFT Nifty, as you have shown, it's indicating you that we might see a start with a gain of almost 125 points, much above 26,000. Some of the stocks that might be in the focus, 2 stocks remain in the bank, Samant Capital and Bandhan Bank. And lastly, 2 stocks that I'll talk about that have been seeing fresh long, Samvardhana Motherson and Adani Green.
Sudarshan, thank you for that update there. Keep an eye out on all of those options mentioned by Sudarshan and the stocks as well. Now, Prime Minister Narendra Modi held a telephonic conversation with US President Donald Trump. They exchanged views on expanding cooperation in trade, critical technologies, energy, defense and security, and also agreed to work closely to address shared challenges and advance common interests. The leaders also expressed satisfaction at the strengthening of bilateral cooperation across domains. The importance of sustaining the momentum to enhance the bilateral trade was also discussed. Now, following the phone call, the Prime Minister took to X to write that progress in bilateral relations were discussed and that India and the US would continue to work together to achieve global peace, stability and prosperity. Now, the latest on the India-US trade front, a delegation of US trade officials led by Deputy US Trade Representative Rick Switzer visited India from the December 9th to the 11th, marking his first visit to the subcontinent since assuming his current office. The US trade representatives met Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal among other senior officials as both nations had the opportunity to discuss productive exchanges on several issues regarding the India-US trade and economic ties. The conversation also included ongoing negotiations for mutually beneficial India-US bilateral trade agreement, as both sides agreed to continue the current engagements that has served purposeful thus far. We also caught up with Atul Keshap, the president of the USIBC, and Mohan Kumar, the former ambassador to France, who shared their views on the latest phone call between the two leaders last night on the ongoing trade deal. Listen.
This is all positive momentum. I noticed that there was a quad counterterrorism engagement earlier last week. And Ambassador Quatra is making the rounds in Washington, talking to various stakeholders, including on Capitol Hill. The two leaders are now realizing that something very positive is in their grasp, that the two greatest democracies on earth, which rely on each other so much for technology and talent, actually could make a landmark and historic trade deal that would be to the benefit of both peoples. And I think it is in that spirit that this phone call took place.
I see actually the trade agreement is more or less complete. It's really a presidential call that President Trump has to make. And I think I find it extremely comforting that Jamieson Greer is bold enough to say that this is the best offer Delhi has put on the table. This has been my sense for a while. So I don't really think the trade agreement will be a serious obstacle. I think when the two leaders talk of sustaining momentum in trade, they are talking about the Compact Initiative, which talks of reaching $500 million trade by 2030.
Take a short break. On the other side, all the action from Wall Street. Stay tuned.
"26 years of CNBC TV 18. "26 years of CNBC TV 18.
Welcome back. On to action from Wall Street, and contrary to what the futures were showing up yesterday morning, it was a fairly good session for the US markets. The Dow Jones, a 650-point gain, closing at record highs. The S&P 500 also closing at record highs, and the record closing high for the S&P 500, and from its intraday record, it's around 15 to 20 points away. The Nasdaq also recovered 300 points from the day's low and closed in the red though, but still recovered from the lows. The Fed rate cut was followed by disappointing results from Oracle, and that prompted investors to move out of these tech names. So most of the big tech names ended lower and shifted towards the old economy names such as Visa and a lot of other names. Now, other AI stocks like Nvidia, Broadcom also ended lower. Broadcom's results were better than estimates, but its guidance disappointed the street. Now, moving on, after the Fed cut by 25 basis points, Fed Chair Jerome Powell had mentioned that they are in a wait and see stance as of now. The former Fed Vice Chairman Roger Ferguson and Kelsey Barrow from JP Morgan Asset Management shared their views on the Fed's approach.
I think they're trying to avoid sending the message that the buying bonds on the short end had anything to do with monetary policy. Was it hawkish? Was it dovish? I would have to say it was distinctly undecided. You know, as you point out, there were 3 dissents, 1 in favor of more reductions, 2 in favor of holding. And the so-called SEP, the dot plot, showed also, you know, a pretty divided organization. What was most interesting, to me at least, was Powell saying we are at a wait-and-see moment, which tells me they're still data-dependent. And so I think the market should be focused on the incoming data, which I think will be guiding the Fed as opposed to a predetermined path right now.
I would agree. The Fed remains data dependent. And when I look at the probability of a rate cut for January, which is still around just 25%, I think the risk reward on that is actually pretty interesting. I think the Fed still remains very sensitive to the downside risk to the unemployment picture. And I look at their SEPs and they see the unemployment rate peaking at 4.5 and coming back down.
Now, U.S. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick says that the U.S. should focus on bringing in immigrants that help expand the economy. His comments came after the White House launched its $1 million Trump card visa program. Listen to what he had to say.
The average green card holder in America makes 1/3 less than the average American. We should be bringing in the best and the brightest. And that's what Donald Trump is changing about our immigration system. Let's expedite the best and the brightest who are going to give $1 million to the United States to prove they're at the top of the list. We're the only country, we're the only great country that lets other people just come in without vetting them and deciding whether they're really going to help the economy of America. So, in our current visa system, why shouldn't we expedite the people who are willing to step up, give $1 million to the United States, go through the most rigorous vetting process that the United States has ever done, $15,000 of vetting to make sure they're the right people. And let's bring in the top of the best. And let's bring those people in. Let's help them grow America and build America.
Getting you the latest now on all the Donald Trump-related developments. Vinny is here for our special segment, Trump Watch.
Hi, good morning. First up, the U.S. House has approved a sweeping defense bill, and President Trump has said that he hopes to sign the NDAA very soon. Obviously, that is unlocking the Biosecure Act, so we'll watch out for all the pharma companies. Now, shifting gears, the president has also signed an executive order to shield American AI innovation from patchwork of inconsistent state laws. Now, he stressed unity, saying we have to be unified. China is unified. Moving on and on to the economy front, Trump's firing up on Truth Social. He slammed Biden's mess of inflation, boosting prices, as well as dropping fast energy at 5-year lows. Stocks, he said, are at an all-time high, and tariff racking in billions for the US. Now, when will I get credit for the greatest economy ever is what he quoted as well. Moving on to some geopolitical news that we have that came in overnight. Now, White House has said that Trump is extremely disappointed with Russia and Ukraine, tired of the talks that are going on, demanding action now to take place. Also, Trump, while speaking at the White House, said that we'll see if US attends Ukraine meeting on Saturday, and he said that Europe wants Trump to be there at that meeting. He also said that they are working very strongly with Gaza and that he gets along very well with Netanyahu. So updates on that front is also something that one should watch out for. Finally, he also spoke on Iran, and that he said that Iran would like to make a deal with the United States. So that's all the update that we have this morning from the Trump side.
Vinny, thank you for all of those updates there from the White House. Take a short break. Cues from the commodities market on the other side.
"26 years of CNBC TV 18. "26 years of CNBC TV 18.
Welcome back. Manisha Gupta now is here with all the updates from the commodities market. Manisha, good morning. What's on your radar today?
Silver, because it's trading at an all-time high yet again. 4% of gains in the overnight market, and we are trading above $64 an ounce for the silver prices. Silver has made a record high not just in US or India, but in China, Germany, Australia, and perhaps there are more countries on the list there. But then it's not just silver as well. Copper is also trading at an all-time highs of $11,800 a ton. And with that, we've seen 36% of gains come in for copper as well. But the gains just about continue because we're looking at multi-month highs continuing in case of aluminum, zinc. Overnight, we have seen gains come in for this one as well. And then it also is about platinum, palladium, all of them gaining as the dollar index is now trading at an 8-week low. And there is a treasury yield decline in the U.S. markets, absolutely supporting all of these metal prices.
Well, you might just want to change the saying. All that glitters is maybe silver as well. Manisha, thank you for that update there. Take your leave on this edition of Power Breakfast from me and the team. Thank you for watching. Bazaar Morning Call on the other side to set you up for the day's trade.
"26 years of CNBC TV 18